There we go.
Oh.
Now you said to click on it. We got a really bad echo.
To do all this crap. Maybe we keep the speed. Oh, here we go.
We got an echo.
Is there sound now? There. So we can't hear him.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
How about now?
How about now? Okay, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. You can hear sound? Oh, you hear you? Okay, good. Okay, we're live, Jack. I'm gonna go ahead and start recording. Okay, text me if anything goes wrong. Text me, okay? Okay, thanks, Chris. Bye.
I believe we have sound, David.
Okay, sorry guys. Yeah, that's not even funny. It's not even, and we can't, let's go ahead and try and get in position, Jack, even though it's going to be kind of staggered. And we'll have to wait till we get, this is not, guys, as you know, this is not a technical podcast. And we thought with YouTube Live, we just like hit a button and it starts streaming. But no, YouTube wants you to do all these like NASA engineering tricks, download this third-party app. Basically, I'm just making excuses for us not doing our homework beforehand. But we're working now. My friend Chris is doing making sure that everything sounds fine. So it's kind of weird. Like Chris will text me if anything goes wrong. So we're also recording, guys. Sorry if you're listening to us on iTunes. We just started the live stream, so we're recording the live stream on, well, yeah, we're recording and broadcasting the live stream on Jack's machine, and we're recording the audio on my machine, and yeah, so we should post that we're live with the link if it hasn't pushed out already, Jack.
It should be.
Okay.
But if not, you can go ahead and verify.
I'm gonna tweet that we are live. Okay. So I just tweeted that out. Perfect. Okay. It still says this will begin in a few minutes when I tweet out the link, but Chris is watching, and he'll tell us if anything's wrong.
All right.
Okay.
So we've been going for about 17 and a half minutes here, and about 17 minutes of that's been technical difficulties.
Yes.
Story of our life. Right?
Yes, it has been. It has been. Let me get my wife to make sure she can see it. Can you see and hear us? Okay.
Let me check the live stream on my phone.
It's still saying it'll start in a few moments when I try and do it.
There may be a delay.
It shouldn't be that bad of a delay.
I don't know. It's pretty bad. Yep, you're right. It says it will begin in a few moments.
You have to go through YouTube to do it, or?
I'm going to YouTube right now. Let me go to the link I posted.
Okay.
Headache and a half. Okay. Well, let's try Twitter then.
I tried the link on Twitter, and we still get that. We still get that same thing.
Well, I know we're live. I'm watching myself
Yeah.
over here, but yeah, it still says it will begin in a few moments.
Here, let's try and go to on the desktop here. As long as it works on here, then we'll be good to go.
Yeah, my friend Brendan says it will begin in a few moments. So he's not seeing it either.
This, I swear to God. I'm going to try and go to it on there. Do we start a new show? Is that link dead?
I don't know. It says we're live and it says stream health.
No, but did we...
I don't know.
I'm going to the link on the laptop. Right here. This will tell us right here if we're... Hold on. They need to make this a lot easier. This is ridiculous. Let's see if that... unless it tries to...
Realistic Prepper is streaming now live.
Click on that. Okay, maybe it's just not mobile friendly.
It may not be.
I don't think it's mobile friendly. Okay, yeah, we're live. It's just not mobile friendly, guys. We're sorry. Why? Do not ask me. This is ridiculous. I would have used live stream if I would have known.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tweak this out again.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. I think the original link, you may want to go ahead and retweet the new link. I think the one I tweeted out is dead.
Okay.
When we created the new one.
You just tweeted it out?
Yeah. Of course, I got, 6 people on my Twitter. So.
Six people on your Twitter. Okay, hold on. Let me try here.
Let me go ahead and I'm going to copy this link again.
Well, you'll have to edit the audio for this on this thing because people won't be.
Go ahead and try. I tell you what, David. Try to go to our.
I'm not getting your tweet
At all.
Hold on.
Okay. My friend Brandon says it's working.
Okay.
So should be good to go.
I don't know why I don't see your link, but Twitter's really stupid now too with its layout on the phone.
So what I would do is
it still says. Where's the right link? Can you text me the right link, Jack?
I can.
Okay.
So you have to be a rocket scientist now in order to get streams working, right?
I'm scared for you to go anywhere, Jack, on that thing.
Let's see.
No, just go to the link that you sent out.
Hold on. I'm going to send you a fresh link.
Okay.
I'm going to send you a completely fresh link because that's what I did with Brandon, and now he can go there. So, see, this is our fresh link right here. I'm going to send you a completely. See how it's echoing?
Yeah.
That's what I did with Brandon, and now he can go there. So, all right.
You just text it to me, or you're fixing to?
I'm fixing to.
Okay.
All right. Let's go to.
Oh my goodness. I don't know how you do all them screens, Jack.
All them screens?
All them screens.
My messaging app went away, David. There we go. And I'm going to send this to you, and then you can tweet it out.
Okay.
Tweet it out.
Yeah, it is different. It is different.
It is a different link, so.
Son of a bitch. Okay.
Famous last word.
Okay.
Yeah, Brandon says we're live, and right now he's the authority on this. So
okay,
Chris is the authority on the sound. Brandon's the authority on the video. So
okay, I'm going correct link. We are live. Yes, we are. Bingo. Okay, perfect.
You gonna go ahead and tweet that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna retweet the link.
Okay, now let's go back into the chat room and let's get this started.
Finally.
Okay. So, as we are now past all of our
20
various
minutes,
technical
20
difficulties.
minutes of technical difficulties to get this thing
Here,
started.
let's start this. Let's start the audio portion over. Okay, so we have just started the audio only portion of this podcast. Again, welcome if you're listening to us on iTunes. I'm with Jack here in Tennessee, and we are doing a live show of sorts on YouTube. That has been very difficult for us because it involved a lot of setup that we did not plan for. We were not prepared for that. I'm recording the audio off of my MacBook here, so all of our bases are covered. So if you are listening to us on iTunes, I would recommend that you go onto our YouTube page and make sure that you watch us from there, because will be on video as well. So you want to talk, Jack, about kind of what we did so far? I got in yesterday, and we had some range time.
Yeah, let me start off by saying this is the most frustrating
Yes.
experience. Google, Android, the whole, it is the most frustrating thing trying to get this live stream to work that I've ever tried to do.
Yeah,
it really is. It took us two people that aren't technologically illiterate by any means. It took us a good 25 minutes to get this thing working.
Live stream, you just hit broadcast. You set up your video. You set up your audio recordings.
No. We had to download special apps. We had to. We had to tweak the sound.
It was absurd.
It's ridiculous. So that's the first thing, most frustrating thing ever. Second thing, past 2 days have been pretty fun. We got to go up to the range, get some shooting in. It's a pretty typical week for me,
but not typical for me.
Kind of a new experience.
Yeah, I guys, where I'm from over in Tampa Bay, most of our stuff is all just indoor shooting. As Chris knows, who's watching this. So here we got to go shoot basically at like the top of a mountain at this outdoor range. It was awesome. It was beautiful. You're not breathing in lead all day.
Now breathing in lead's good for you, David.
Okay, yes, I give that. And just
make a man out of it.
But the best thing is, Jack knows a ton about firearms. His friend Travis came and met up with us. He knows a ton about firearms. And they taught me so much stuff that I haven't learned in my range classes. I'm always shooting far to the left. When I shoot, it's like the whole left of the target's just sprayed with bullets. And you would take my same Glock 26 that I was shooting, and you would be dead center. So you all taught me grip, how to hold it more up high with my elbows bowed out a little bit, and it did make a difference. So I still need some practice on it. And the Glock 26 isn't as easy to shoot as like my Glock 19, which is one that can fully fit in the hand. Right. But still, it was fun, and I had a good time doing it. So
I think I don't think it's the fact you said you had done a lot of training with the guys in Florida at the range, and the thing is, a lot of times I think that especially if people have been teaching firearms classes for a while, there's certain things that you tend to assume sometimes.
Yeah.
And if someone assumes that you know a certain thing, they're not going to explain it to you. The assumption is you know this part of it. So now they're adding stuff onto it. And I've seen you working some drills on, I believe it was Instagram and some on YouTube, some drills you were working. And you actually texted me some of those. And there was nothing wrong with the drills they had you working. The problem was some of the fundamentals and some of the basics that they assumed that you hadn't worked on.
Yeah, and Chris, who's watching, is a much better shot than I am and better at handling the guns. But someone like me, who really before January, as I told you, Jack, it was once a year, twice a year going to the range, which is criminal that I was concealing a gun and had little training on that. And I've had more training in the past year.
Well, honestly, Dave, you had more training even at that. You had more training than 95%.
And that's sad, and that's sad. But I learned so much from the guys at the range over the past year, and hope to learn more. I'm hoping to go to Tactical Response is coming down to Florida in January to Titusville. I hope to go to that as well to get some more training as far as those aspects go. And but no, overall it was great. I love shooting outside. I got to shoot your AR. My AR is in the mail. I ordered it through Bud's Gun, whatever, with Chris's help, and my firearm dealer should have that hopefully by midweek to Thursday. Whereas tomorrow, I'm not sure. Tomorrow's Columbus Day. I'm not positive.
It's going to set it back a little week.
Yeah, I'm not sure if UPS runs on Columbus Day. But so hopefully I'll have my AR, but by the weekend I can start spending money on 223 ammo and get to use that. But I got to shoot your AR, which is which brand?
It's DPMS.
DPMS. That was fun. I got to learn how to do that and just handle it better and stuff. So and Chris will over at the range will do that as well there with Chris. So it'll be all good. But it was so awesome to go shoot outside. I felt less rushed, like basically an indoor range, which, you know, I love my indoor range where I go. Where I live, that's as good as it gets. But after about an hour, that's about all I can shoot indoors. And outside, you know, I was like, oh, 2 hours has passed already, you know.
Well, time flies when you're having fun.
Exactly.
And we didn't do anything overly complex. It was just some basic drills, you know, some stuff from the holster, whatever. But like I said, a lot of it depends on the fundamentals. You got to get those down first before you can progress to the more advanced stuff. And you know, when you seen Travis and I shooting, it was just an extension of the basics. That's all it is. It's just the basics with a little bit of speed added to it.
I just love, I mean, I can't assume a whole population based off 2 people here, but I'm just guessing that the population as a whole up here, if they do shoot, would tend to be more like you and Travis in these parts.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Pretty representative. Of course, we're better looking than most of the people.
Well, of course, Jack. Of course.
But yeah, other than that,
UPS does not. Okay, thank you, Chris. Hopefully, my gun will arrive. They have to ship on Monday. It's not shipped yet. I haven't checked over the weekend on the website, but hopefully it'll. And we're responding to the comments in the YouTube thing here. So we shot. We've had some good meals. We had a steak dinner last night over at Logan's.
Yes, we did.
And we what else? We went to Huddle House, and I've been to Huddle House.
That was breakfast / lunch today.
I was a little nervous. I'm like, I don't know, because you wouldn't look at me and think, but I have some food intolerances, but it was delicious.
There's only a few cockroaches, and I mean, once you get past that,
we just shoot them off the plate.
Brush those out of the way, and you're fine.
And we're going to Buffalo Wild Wings tonight to get some wings, so that'll be good. But loving the weather here. It's nice and cool. As opposed to Florida, this time of year, it's not cold. It's gotten a lot better than it has in the summer, but it's still fluctuating some. So
what would the temperature be right now in Florida?
It's probably upper 70s, mid 70s.
Right now, it would be in the upper 70s.
Well,
It's 58 degrees here right now.
But see, it doesn't feel that cold. Like this morning, you were telling me. It's 74 degrees right now in Tarpon.
Okay.
Well, which is comfortable, but
58's not.
I ran the air all last night in the hotel room. I had all 64.
I think so. It's a different type of different type of cool.
73, Chris, up there. Yeah. So we did that tomorrow. I do fly home tomorrow. We're going to get some shooting done in the morning.
3 days of shooting. It's pretty good for anybody. Right?
That's okay. That's
and we're talking about like hour and a half, 2 hour long sessions.
Yeah.
Here, so
hopefully there won't be anybody over up at the range tomorrow, so we'll have that to ourselves.
Well, and that's the only that's really the only drawback. But I'd still rather be up there than I had in an enclosed range.
Yeah, but that one old guy was nice though. That was there.
You know, I think he just about lives there.
Have you seen there before?
That man's been there. He showed me that same, and I'm not sure if he has like short-term memory loss or what.
Yeah.
He showed me that Springfield 45 about 4 times.
Are you I didn't know that you've seen him there.
Yeah,
before.
I've seen him there a couple of times, and every time I see him, he's the same stuff. He talks about it again like it's brand new. And
I'll be like that, so I can't really talk.
I will be too. But it's always the same stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, and I got this Springfield, and I'm like, let me guess, it's a 6-shot 45. Yeah, how'd you know? I'm good like that.
Yeah.
It's like a miracle to him every time I guess what it is. And he starts telling me about this the hardest kicking gun he'd ever shot, which is a 460.
Yeah.
And I can always guess it. He's amazed that I can guess it. Well, you've told me 3 times. So,
yeah.
That's why. Oh well.
Yeah, it was fun. So overall, yeah, it was great, and so we had a good time up here. We have a lot of range footage too. Jack's gonna do a whole separate YouTube video.
It's gonna take me a couple of days to edit the video down and make it look all spiffy and edit out all the redneck banter back and forth. But yeah, once I do that, we'll be all right.
I'll tell you what, guys. They have some accents up here in Tennessee. I mean, if any of y'all remotely think I sound Southern, no. Compared to, especially his friend Travis, who was awesome, I sound like I'm from New York City. Okay, so it's thick up here, but I just love that. Love the.
Well, what'd you say
Southern
about
accent.
country and then?
There's country and there's country as hell, and Travis was country as hell. I loved it.
That's awesome.
So it was great.
True. It's true. He's a good guy.
Oh.
His country seemed to be though.
Southern hospitality to the T with him. But overall, guys, we titled this The State of Prepping, and sorry, we're still kind of mentally sidetracked from our vast technical difficulties. But we talked about the state of prepping. We thought we would just generally kind of talk about where we see things going, kind of where we want our podcast to go, where we see this channel going. And overall, we kind of did some pre-show kind of amongst ourselves today talking. And Jack and I have been at this a while. I've been serious about it since about 2012, but I've been doing it my whole life because of being an Eagle Scout and living in a hurricane-prone area. But overall, I think it has got glammed up a bit, which, some of the hardcore folks might say that's wrong, but I say if it gets people to put a damn flashlight in their kitchen drawer that actually works, get a NOAA weather radio and put back a few things of food and some water, it's worth it. Because I still think right now the vast majority of people, if we had immediate grid down, would be in 24 hours in a state of chaos, mentally, physically, and with their preps. And I say preps meaning none at all. Do you agree with that, Jack?
Yeah, I'll kind of disagree when it comes to the doomsday prepping type shows. I think they do the prepping community a huge disservice. I think that your average person out there who sees that, you tend to think the average person out there that sees that, if it just helps them a little bit prepare for setting up, they put back an extra can of food, whatever. I think a lot of times those shows, especially Doomsday Prepper, it really sheds a negative light on the whole prepping community, and I don't want people out there thinking that's what I'm about.
No.
And the thing that really bothers me is about that show especially is every time they would start a show, this is Harold, and Harold is preparing for
X,
for a nuclear apocalypse or for an EMP or whatever. It's like, wait a minute, what about there's never been a single person on there that said, here's Ted. Ted's preparing for a tornado.
Yeah.
Ted's preparing for, a hurricane in Florida. Something.
You don't just prepare for one thing.
Yeah, I mean, and that really bothers me because they never had people that were realistically preparing for things that actually happen on a regular basis, like I don't know, flooding, Like we had,
Yeah.
you remember a couple of years ago we had the floods here in Tennessee,
Yeah.
and I mean
Well, we had them in August here.
They
at my
said
house.
that was some of the biggest damage since Katrina.
Yeah.
And that was right here in Tennessee. I mean, we had some major flooding in Nashville. We had there are some businesses that are closed down permanently because of that. You have a tornado, not a tornado, but a hurricane in Florida every few years. Or you at least get your tropical storms and your side effects. That's the type of stuff we're preparing for. And
realistic. The title of our podcast. We're not,
and that's what led us both to, I think, to go with the moniker, the realistic prepper, because you have all these people preparing for these, I mean, highly, highly unlikely zombie apocalypse style. And that's what happens when you take something that is a good thing. And you let the media get a hold of it. They screw it up. They turn it into something it was never designed to be, and then they shed a bad light on it. And they make everybody seem like they're a zombie apocalypse kooks. And I think it kind of sheds a negative light on all of us. I think the YouTube community is a really good place to look. And I think there are a few shows out there that have shed a more positive light on preppers. Stay away from the extreme stuff, though. That right there it'll turn you against prepping, I think, and it'll turn the average person against prepping more than it will steer them toward it. But if you'll sit the average person down and you'll explain to them, listen, this is what I do because I've lived through a power outage. I've lived through an ice storm. I mean, me personally, I've lived through 3 major ice storms where I didn't have power for in excess of 2 weeks. I've lived through tornadoes. You've lived through hurricanes. You in tropical storms, and these are things that happen on a regular basis. These are not once in a lifetime events.
No.
So I think that's what the average person needs to be prepping for. Not the zombie apocalypse. Not an EMP. Not the nuclear holocaust. They need to be preparing for.
And I really do think if you get those basics down, if you prepare for what we always talk about on the podcast as your threat assessment, if you prepare for that, then if any of these extraneous things happen, and I guess not a nuclear holocaust, but whatever, you're going to have a solid platform for which to go off of. And after you do get that platform built where you are prepared for what you're likely to face, if you want to have some fun, you can build yourself a Faraday cage to get prepared for an EMP, or hell, if you have the money, a bunker for a nuclear fallout. But I do subscribe to podcasts that talk about that, and it's great. I like to listen, but personally, it's just not what I'm prepping for. Yes, is this somewhat hobby and sport for me? It is. I enjoy the tactical stuff, but ultimately, it's because I realize I'm responsible for myself, my family, and some extended family, and I want to make sure that I'm prepared. So, yes, I think Jack hit the nail on the head talking about the goals of this show and how it's everyday things you need to be ready for, not these fashionable things. Because, I mean, think about it, people. If we have a nuclear war, nuclear holocaust, I'm sorry. A lot of us, I know I do. I live near like an Air Force base that was CENTCOM for the Middle East. I'm pretty sure there's a red dot on Tampa Bay. I don't think I'll be around. Right. So when I look at the scarce amount of time and resources that I have to prepare, and that's true for any of us, regardless of budget or situation, I find it more realistic to prepare for things that are going to happen to me. Hurricanes, and possible things of civil unrest. I'm always concerned about that. Right. So overall, I think that we need to continue educating the public on those matters. But Jack, what would you think right now? As I'm going to text my wife the link, because I think she's still watching our old link.
Watching the old link?
Yeah. What do you think is the most overlooked aspect of prepping? Like we talked about the 3-legged stool, the beans, the bullets, and the Band-Aids. Or anything else, what do you think is the most overlooked part right now?
Training?
I mean, until this past year, Jack, I had very little professional training.
I think that is probably one of the most overlooked aspects. And I'm not just talking about the tactical side of things. I'm talking about learning how to garden, if that's what you're into, learning how to put food back. Just the training aspect. People assume that if they have some canned foods put back and they have 1,000 rounds of ammunition and a couple of guns, that they're good to go. And they never seek any training. They don't bother getting proficient with the firearms they own. They don't test their skills. I mean, can you survive for a week without electricity? I don't know. Have you done it?
It'd be tough as hell in Florida. I tell you right now.
Have you done it?
No, I haven't done it.
And that's the
you
thing.
have though, haven't you?
I've done it several
You haven't.
times.
I have not. No.
I have done it several times, and until you've been tested, you don't know what your skills are. So every once in a while, I think it's a good thing to test your skills, and it's a good thing to receive training, especially like I said with the tactical side. You have these people; they go out. And I'm not going to name names, but I'm personal friends with several of these people, and I've encouraged them to go out, even if they don't train under me, to go out and get some training. And they tend to think that they almost act like, I'm trying to word this where I don't offend anybody, but I'm just going to have to go ahead and say it. They tend to think if I have my handgun carry permit and I carry a gun on me, they look at it almost like a magic talisman that's going to protect them in a crisis. And that's not the case. A firearm is a tool. And if you don't know how to properly use that tool, it doesn't matter how much you paid for this whiz-bang $3,000 gun. You can have the best ammunition, the kind that vaporizes zombies on contact. You can have all this cool stuff, but if you don't know how to use this cool guy equipment, it's not going to save you.
Correct.
A guy, some street thug who knows what he's doing with a 25 automatic is going to have his way with you every day. It doesn't matter if you got a Glock 19 with night sights on it and all that. If you don't have any training, then you still don't have anything. And I would strongly encourage anyone who is going to carry a firearm to seek it. The handgun carry permit class is not training, okay?
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people really understand that. When you ask them, have they had any training? Oh, yeah, I took my permit class under Officer so-and-so or whatever. No, what you took was a class that was meant to make sure you didn't kill yourself while you were carrying this gun.
You took a more of a legality. At least in Florida, it's more of a legality class.
Yeah, that's all it is.
It's not really. You have to legally fire one shot from a gun in the class.
Right.
And that's it.
And the thing is, even my handgun carry permit class, I had to put about 100 rounds through my gun, and of course this was late 90s, I guess. And it was still woefully. It was you put 100 rounds through your gun from contact distance out to I think 15 yards. Yeah. And unless you're completely blind, if you've ever shot a gun in your life, you're going to pass that. And it was more legalities, but that's not training. Training is dedicated tactical response. Travis Haley, Gunsight, Thunder Ranch, up until a few years ago, Blackwater. Those are your training facilities. Yeah. Guys, Travis Haley, James Yeager, John Farnham. Those are your what's his name? Chris Costa. Those are your firearms trainers. Those are the guys you need to seek out for your actual training. So all your cool guy gear will actually save your life, because without it, all that gear is meaningless. So that's one thing. Another thing I think is probably the most overlooked aspect of prepping is being able to defend yourself without a weapon. Combatives. I don't know how many times I have seen, especially on YouTube, but I've seen this on Doomsday Preppers too. There'd be some 350, 400-pound guy who can barely walk around. He's damn near wheelchair bound.
Yeah.
And he can barely even get around, and he's talking about he's preparing for the zombie apocalypse or whatever, and he can't go up a flight of stairs without fainting. Literally, it's that bad. I know how to defend myself. I'm a big boy. No, what you are is a heart attack waiting to happen.
Exactly.
And I think that's the fitness aspect of it.
It's huge. And I woke myself up. It was about a year ago now. I started some training. I did Krav Maga, and a little bit of what you do, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and that was I just had a taste of it, guys, a taste of it. And when I realized what I did not know, that was almost more startling than what I learned, because most people have no clue how to fight, and myself included in that. So Jack's been a good mentor in that. I would say for me, one thing, and I've pressed hard home on this in the podcast, is the medical side. And my caveat, I have no medical professional training. I have taken Patriot Nurses class, which is more grid down medicine, not tactical class. and then I just, I'm an Eagle Scout.
I'm gonna let you run for this for
Okay.
a second, David. I'm gonna have to excuse myself
Okay.
just a second here.
I've done I'm an Eagle Scout. I've done all the Red Cross training and things like that, and that's been beneficial for me. But I think overall, we have all the fun toys and gadgets that can go boom and make a hole in somebody, or that can harm somebody. But people at the range will have nothing as far as like having a tourniquet, having quick clot, and if you carry a gun every day, like I do, I have my gun on my side now. In my back pocket, I carry my tourniquet and my quick clot, and I've never trained with them live. I hope to get training with them live. I have watched enough training videos where I wouldn't at least act stupid trying to use them, and it's just important, I think, that people realize that, again, if you have something to make a hole, at least have something to have the attempt to patch the hole. I mean, I've been at the range, and Chris is one of the people that we train with, and I had a tourniquet in my tourniquet holster on my back, and the guy's like, "Why do you have that on you?" And I said, "Well, it's a tourniquet. We're back here shooting guns." Oh, like he was like, had no clue why I had a tourniquet with me. And then I always make it a policy when I shoot, and Jack knows this, I did this yesterday, that the person I'm shooting with, if I'm not in a class, knows I have my medical kit with me, and though in case I'm the one that goes down. I say, this is my tourniquet, and this is my quick clot, and most people I would train with on a constant basis would know how to use those things. So for me, it's the medical side, and then Patriot Nurse. I love that channel. Subscribe to her if you haven't. She has a really good step-by-step on just things to stock up on as far as medicine goes for grid down. Because we think about in our civilized world, we don't really pay much mind to the flu, to pneumonia, upper respiratory, even digestive problems. But if we're in a grid down scenario, those can kill us. Those do kill. Well, they kill people in the U.S. We just don't think of it in that light, but it kills people all the time in developing countries. And if we're grid down, which basically brings us down to a developing country, those things could happen when grandma gets the flu, but say it's winter and we have no heat. That could be a problem, and we need to know how to treat those. And oftentimes, again, though I think this is changing, I think medical is becoming more cool. For a long time, it wasn't. It was not looked at as something tactical. It was like, oh, well, that's whatever. But I think it is becoming a little bit more in vogue, if you will, to train for medicine and to know medicine. But it can't just be, guys, the tactical warfare tourniquet medicine. You have to know what Patriot Nurse and what others teach as far as if the grid down, somebody in your family gets sick, what do you do? How do you treat them? And that's training that can save a life.
As far as you were talking about the medical aspect of it, there are people out there, and I've heard this on YouTube and I've seen in the comment section, that you don't even know how to use half of what you have in your medical kit. Why do you carry this big med kit around when you don't know how to use this, and this? Because I might be one of the first people on a scene, and there may be medical personnel there, people that are trained to use that stuff. And they don't have their gear with them. There's a possibility, and if they don't have their gear with them, but I do here's my kit. Use whatever you need out there, and you might save a life. Your odds, a lot of people like you said, they like to carry the guns, they carry the knives, and all this, but they don't know if someone got hurt. They don't know how to take care of that person, and in my experience, you're far more likely. I can tell you this. I've never had to shoot anybody. I've come close a couple of times, and I've had my finger on the trigger with sights on the person and thought I was going to have to, but I've never actually had to ventilate a human being before.
You've been in law enforcement.
I have. Let's be clear about that.
Yeah.
But I've never had to actually shoot anyone before. Come close a few times, never had to do it. Never had to pull my knife out and cut anybody before. Come close a couple of times, hadn't had to do it. I've been the first or second person on the scene of probably 30 different accidents.
That's a lot, Jack.
Probably 30 different car accidents before the cops got there.
Yeah.
And while I was a cop, probably 15, 20.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I mean, when you don't have any training at all, and back then we were told, basic CPR, or you sit back and you wait on the paramedics to get there. You clear the scene, you make sure it's secure, and then you wait on the paramedics, you wait on the EMTs. And that's what we were taught back then. I think things are a little different now. But, you know, you're much more likely to come up on a wreck or see someone injured and have to care for that person than you are to have to use your cool guy weapons to take somebody out. So I think if you're thinking along those lines, also as David said, I believe you mentioned, if you're going to have the capability of putting holes in the human body, you might want to have the capability of plugging them up as well.
Correct.
It just makes good sense, you know.
Exactly.
It's like having a spare tire in a car.
Yes.
You don't plan on having a blowout, but
it can happen.
It can happen, and it does happen.
Yeah.
You know,
sure.
People get shot at shooting ranges on a daily basis. It's not publicized, and people don't talk about it much, but it's nothing to be at a shooting range and someone get careless, or there's a ricochet and you get hit with shrapnel. I've been hit by shrapnel on the range before. We were shooting steel at close range, closer than what we should have been. And I'm talking about inside of 5 yards here, and I've got hit with shrapnel and bled for, you know.
Yeah.
And I got it. It wasn't anything serious, but it could have been. That's the whole point. So you're far more likely to have a situation like that than you are to use your other equipment. You're more likely to use that medical equipment. So to have that medical equipment and some good training, and Travis and I, Travis being one of the guys I work church security with, we actually plan on doing a tactical medicine class, expedient medicine class pretty soon. So I think it's very important, and it is. It's one of those overlooked aspects of prepping. And also, I want to mention, David and I, either one of us, we don't look like we're in real good shape. We don't.
No, we're not. So, we're not the pillar of health here trying to teach y'all.
Exactly, and I'm not. You know, when I was making the remark a few minutes ago that you have these 400-pound guys on YouTube, a lot of times people will try, and this is definitely the state of prepping. A lot of times people will try to compensate for their lack of training and mobility with stuff that they can buy.
Yeah.
Firearms, more knives, more ammunition. And it really, you can have 20 machine guns and 150,000 rounds of ammunition. But if you can't run from here to my mailbox and back, which is about 30 yards, without dying, it ain't going to do you a damn bit of good in a bad situation. It's not going to do you any good at all. Also, you know, if you have all of this stuff and you have no medical training, you're going to take one shot and you're out of the fight. You're done. Yeah. So what good did all you're doing is basically you're preparing, you're gathering goodies. If you're in that kind of shape, and we're going to have a whole podcast on this at some point about being in shape for prepping. We're going to have and you look at David and you say, you know, he's a big guy. Well, Jack's a big guy. I got a gut on me and all that. I'm a lot stronger than I look, and I'm in a lot better shape than I look like I am.
That's true.
You know, you don't think so, but get on the mat with me for about 5 minutes and see what kind of shape I'm in. And David bench presses about 300 pounds if you want to.
Last time max was about 350. I've not maxed in a long time.
Right, 350 pounds. So I mean, you know, we're not quite as out of shape as we look.
I'm not going to win a nutrition contest,
right?
But I got some strength to me.
Or bikini model.
No, definitely no. Seeing me in a swimsuit there was a criminal offense. But no, it's just, so when we talk about things, really anything, not just the health podcast, we're not saying we are the sole source of knowledge. We're just putting it out there. And we always give the disclaimer, guys, we're not doing this. But if it puts something in your mind, maybe you go find someone who is the source for health, somebody who really knows a lot about being in shape and cardio and stuff, because that stuff is very important. But I definitely look at my weight training, which I do weight training 4 times a week. My weight training is part of my prepping, and that's what kind of keeps me going with it. It has health aspects, obviously, but I enjoy being strong. My goal is to now start working on the more cardio side of things.
It's practical strength.
It's practical.
Let's be clear what we mean by this. When we talk about practical strength, you can go in the weight room and you can bench press 350 pounds. But when you're talking about practical strength, David and I both have, I guess what you could say, farm boy strength, in that it's practical. I could go out, if I had to load up 50-pound bags of whatever in the back of a pickup truck, all day,
Yeah.
I could do that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't like it.
No, I wouldn't like it either.
And my body wouldn't like me well the
Yeah.
next day, but I could do it. If I need to move my car from point A to point B without it running, I can push my car from point A to point B without it running.
Yeah.
I'm in shape enough. I can push your average full, mid-size to full-size vehicle and not really strain too hard to do it. If you can't do simple things like that, if you can't do some sit-ups, if you can't do some push-ups and at least move your own body weight around.
I can do, despite what I look, I can do a few sit-ups.
Right, and if you can't do stuff like that, I mean, you really need to work on your practical strength. If you have a hard time getting up and, getting down on the floor and getting back up, you really need to work on your practical strength and your fitness level, because you shouldn't have that many problems. And if you do, if you're having that many problems now when times are good, when you're sitting in Starbucks sipping your iced coffee or whatever, like we were a little while ago, if you're already having problems now, I mean, what are you going to do when it gets hard? What are you going to do in a situation where you have to walk 5 miles? What are you going to do in a situation where you have to pull somebody out of some rubble or something?
Yeah.
Carry a 150-pound individual couple of 100 yards to safety. You're not going to be able to. You're not. I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't ever think you're going to rise to the occasion, and that goes for the firearms training. That goes for the fitness. That goes for the martial arts aspect of it. Don't ever get into the trap of thinking that you are magically going to rise to the occasion because adrenaline. And I'm doing air quotes here. Adrenaline is going to take over, and you're going to all of a sudden have all this cool guy training. That works in the movies. That does not work in real life. In real life, whatever level of training you have mastered, that's what you're going to revert to, and that goes for your hand-to-hand combat, your shooting, your medical, your food, everything, every aspect of prepping. Excuse me. Whatever level you have mastered is what you're going to do in a bad situation. And so you need to, I think, take a realistic approach and sit down and be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
If you look down and you have 40 or 50 or 60 pounds to lose, take an honest assessment of yourself. Don't make excuses for it. Take an honest assessment and say, okay, this is what I need to do. If you can't do 20 push-ups, take an honest assessment of yourself. Find someone, find a strength coach, find a nutritionist, someone who can work with you, or a friend that helps people, and get them to get you in good shape. If you know that your firearm skills are lacking, if you can't bring your firearm from concealment on target and fire 2 shots in a second and a half or less, you need some training.
Yeah.
But take an honest assessment of yourself and go from there. And David has his weak spots. I have my weak spots. Mine being medical is a weak spot of mine. Yours was the fitness aspect, but you've really been working on it.
I'm getting better. I would say mine in point this weekend is just getting better with firearms.
Right.
Getting more. I think
you've gotten better.
Visiting Tennessee helps out a lot. You learn more with country boys in 20 minutes at the gun range than you do with experts. But and guys, this can all sound overwhelming. Like, where do I begin? There's all these aspects of prepping when you're trying to plug it in. Not like, oh, well, tomorrow I have to go to the karate place, I got to go to the gym place, got to put, no. Take it bite-sized pieces at a time. Set your budget for prepping, and also, just as important as your money is your time. And just try and change little things at a time, get training where you can, and don't let it overwhelm you. Still live your life, still do your work, your family, your passions. This shouldn't consume you, but it's something that should always be in the back of your mind. Because doing all this stuff is not just stuff and skills that you put in a box on a shelf and never use. It helps you in all aspects of your life. If you have had firearms training, some medical training, some fitness stuff, you store away some food, you got your basics covered, just overall in life, I think you're going to be a more confident person and have more, resources to share with people, more knowledge to share. So it's going to help you elsewhere. But kind of in closing, Jack, one thing I'd like to point out that not so much overlooked, but I think needs to change in our society. And a candidate for president, and we don't endorse people on this podcast or get too into politics. You can probably figure out where Jack and I are on the spectrum. Dr. Ben Carson, in response to the shooting in Oregon, made a comment. And we're going to have another episode soon on these school shootings. I'm about done with these gun-free zones. and how the shootings always happen in these gun-free zones.
No, we mean defense-free zones?
Yeah, but we're gonna have a whole another podcast on that because I'm just over it. But Dr. Ben Carson was being interviewed, I think, on Fox and Friends, and they asked him, what he would do in that situation, and what the media has just pooped their pants over his comments, but he's held his ground. He said, "Well, I would not just stand there and let them shoot me." Now, listen, I've never been in a situation where I'm shot at. So I'm very careful not to judge the people that were in that classroom, but shock could have set in, horror could have set in. These are, young college kids, not people that are at peak maturity yet. And one person did charge at the shooter, that Marine or ex-Marine, and he has been praised online, and rightfully so, should be praised because he could have saved somebody's life.
Oh, definitely.
I'm sure he did save people's lives. But we need more people like that. And Dr. Ben Carson, he's been attacked for saying that, but he was absolutely right. He stood by his statement. We need to develop a mindset in this country where if we see something wrong happening, we've conditioned ourselves not to stand in the way and be a victim. It doesn't mean you're going to be Rambo. You're always going to win. But don't stand there and let something happen. If your choice is stand here and die or stand here and fight, I'm going to stand here and fight every day. Mm-hmm. Again, being careful not to judge those in that shooting or any shooting, because I've not been in that situation. But I have tried to prepare myself mentally if I ever was in a situation where there was an active shooter and it's becoming, at least it seems more prevalent, mm-hmm. that I would be able to have the mental state to at least step up. And so I don't want to get too into that, but something I think that needs to be, I don't want to say it's overlooked, but needs to be considered more is just having that mindset. And there's a lot of good audiobooks on mindset as far as all this stuff goes. But I think Dr. Carson was right, because they were standing there putting them on a line saying, "Are you a Christian?" Which if they died from saying they're a Christian, they are a saint. They are a martyr for their faith in heaven. But he goes, "I would not stand there in that line and just let him shoot me." And I think we need to hone in on that mindset more and encourage people to fight back. We're going to have a whole separate episode on that.
Right. I got a little bit of feedback here from one of my students. Mm-hmm. Says he'd be interested in the podcast on defense-free zones.
Yes, we're going to. Yeah, we're going to be doing that because I'm just over. The whole national debate on this is skewed. It's, oh my God, we need gun control. No, that's the wrong answer. Mm-hmm. Look at where all these things happen. Mm-hmm. Even in the Marine station that got shut up with the gun-free.
Right over here in Chattanooga.
Yeah, with a gun-free sticker on the window with bullet holes in it.
And that like David said, we're going to get into the whole philosophical aspect of it, and then the practical aspect mm-hmm. of that in a podcast. Mm-hmm. But we're going to have, I think we get a whole podcast out of that.
We get several.
So mm-hmm. that being said, what you said, completely logical. Here's the thing, guys. Mm-hmm. If you got, okay, to the best of my knowledge, he had a small caliber rifle and 2 pistols.
I was told he had a rifle hidden somewhere in the school, but he was shooting with a pistol.
Okay, let me explain something here.
And not a big guy, from what most time they aren't either.
I have friends that were, well, you met one of them today, that were special forces. I have friends that were in the military. I have friends that have shot many, many, many people. Mm-hmm. I have, back in my law enforcement days, I had some friends mm-hmm. that had been in war, seen all kinds of combat, mm-hmm. Vietnam vets. Yeah. Let me tell you guys, you can have a machine gun. You could have a belt-fed machine gun. But if you're in a room that's, say, a 50 by 50 square foot, say a gym or something, and there are 20 people in there and they all attack you at the same time, I don't care what kind of weapon you have, you're going to die. Period. End of story. Mm-hmm. There's no way you can stand up to that if mauled and attacked at the same time. And if you don't believe that, get out on a football field sometime, get you a paintball gun, mm-hmm. get all those football players to rush you at the same time, and see how many of them you get before you get mauled. Yeah. It's not possible to do that. That is a non-defensible situation. And it's the victim mentality. If I be good and I keep my mouth shut and I stay really still, the bad man with the gun won't hurt me. Yeah. And that's been proven time and again to be the absolute wrong approach. No, what's going to happen to you is you're going to die, or you're going to get raped, or something bad is going to happen to you. And almost every time the victims comply with their aggressors, something bad happens to them. Yeah. They get raped, they get killed, they get hurt really bad some kind of way. So I mean, it's just that is a victim mentality, and like you said, we'll get more into that later, and not having that mentality. But we really need for people in this country, in my opinion, to wake up, understand that people that have mental illness are the problems, and firearms are not the problem, and we need to go from there. And on a ending up here, I guess on a final note, as far as the state of prepping, I think that overall, people are beginning to develop more of an awareness of a need.
That's a good way of putting it.
They're starting to develop an awareness that there is a need. People who watch the news, who keep up with what's going on now, I think are starting to wake up just a little bit and come out of their slumber and feel that there is a need. And we're, like David said, we're not the be all end all. I have my certain set of expertise, and David has his. We're not the be all end all, but we're trying to raise awareness where you can go out and seek professional level training. So if we can just with our podcast and with our broadcast on YouTube and our videos and stuff like that, and our Facebook, if we can just raise the awareness a little bit and get just a few people to come over to that way of thinking, I think it's mission accomplished.
I believe so too. Well,
I think that's good. No deal.
That's good, and thank you for bearing with us in the beginning with these technical difficulties. But we got through them, and we learned for next time. But thank you, Jack, for hosting me here this weekend. It's been a blast being in Tennessee and shooting, and we'll do a little bit more tomorrow. But then I'll board the plane back down to Tampa. But we'll get you down to Tampa sometime, and it's different down there than here, but
that's what I hear.
But I'll show you some of the finer aspects of Tampa Bay. So
sounds good.
All right, guys.
Thanks everybody for tuning in, watching us, and bearing with us. And we'll see you next time.
All right, bye, guys. Now we can figure out how to turn this thing off. Okay, that's saved. I'm gonna save this here real quick.